Hey guys, in this video we're going to talk about passive versus active transport. So let's start by defining our terms. So passive transport is going to be the movement of particles down a concentration gradient. So if we have our concentration gradient here, we have a high concentration and a low concentration. We're going to be going down our concentration gradient towards a lower concentration. And this is not going to require ATP. And ATP is our body's energy. So passive transport does not require energy. It's going to be the movement of particles down a concentration gradient. So we have a container here, and we have our particles. We have a high concentration on this side, a low concentration on this side, and we have these channels that the particles can move through. So which way are the particles going to be moving here? They're going to be moving down their concentration gradient from a high concentration to a low concentration. And they're going to do this until we have an equal concentration on both sides. Active transport, on the other hand, is the movement of particles up a concentration gradient. And this is going to require ATP, our body's energy. And I like to remember that A is for ATP, A is for active. So active transport requires ATP. So we have a high concentration over here, a low concentration over here, and these particles are going to be moving up the concentration gradient from a low concentration to a high concentration. And they're going to need pumps to do this. And these pumps are going to require ATP, and we're often going to represent this with a yellow star. Alright, so we also have a channel in here. This is going to be a leaky channel, and this is going to allow these particles to move down their concentration gradient. So these particles are going to be moving down the concentration gradient through the leaky channel, but we're going to use active transport to maintain our concentration gradient. So we're going to be moving these particles using the pumps up the concentration gradient. We do have particles leaking back through, but these pumps are going to maintain the concentration gradient. Okay, so passive transport is going to be the movement of particles down a concentration gradient from a high concentration to a low concentration until we have equal concentrations. This is not going to require ATP, and these are going to be moving through these channels right here. Active transport does require ATP because we are moving up a concentration gradient from a low concentration to a high concentration. And active starts with an A, ATP starts with an A, so active transport requires ATP, it requires energy. We have leaky channels that are letting these particles move down the concentration gradient, but these pumps are using ATP and they are moving these particles up the concentration gradient, and that's going to maintain our concentration gradient on both sides of this wall here.